What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with my baby Rayge account update here. As you guys can see, the last time we checked in on my account, we were level 20, and we now have officially progressed to level 32. So in this video, I just wanted to, showcase for you guys what has changed since I started the new game here in my account, as well as kind of highlight key characters that have been making a really pivotal and significant difference. As you guys can see with this event right now, the life cycle, definitely one of the best times that you can take advantage of free-to-play unlocking character shards. But unfortunately, with how new our account is, we just don't have the firepower to get through that. But what is notable that's different from my last video is now officially we have Arena unlocked as well as raids. Currently right now, just placed in a random alliance here, but they allow us to actually go through and do the raids, as you can see, building up energy and so forth. But yeah, it's been nice to actually get some more additional ability upgrade materials here. So definitely something to take advantage of when you're upgrading, the specific modes that are going to be available for us. But more specifically now, guys, where has my account gone since? I want to talk about the characters that kind of have been brought up, but as well as in terms of my progression towards these initial chapters, especially since we know that in the beginning of this game, you really do want to dive as far as you can into the heroes, villains, and nexus, and going as deep as possible, because as you unlock more of the aspects of the game, more characters will become farmable, more materials will become farmable, and that's just going to open us more doors in terms of what it's going to segue to, especially transitioning to that mid-game stage. So as you can see, I'm actually right now in Heroes Chapter 5, starting that off. So I'm going to show you which team synergies have actually pushed me all the way to the end of Heroes 4, especially certain characters I found that were making a really key and pivotal difference. Villains United right now, chapter, we are actually midway here, as you can see, into Chapter 4. Starting here as well, we've been able to just get through and actually get through the majority of Chapter 3. Still have the 3-star couple, but on the same point here as Heroes Chapter. And Nexus, we just recently started. I could probably go a little higher, but you can see here Chapter 1, and I do have a really strong team, but just haven't had the chance to go through it. But my characters and teams should be able to push me to Chapter 2, Chapter 3. We'll see how high it gets, but in terms of the difficulty overall. But that's really what's worked for me, guys. So I mean, this is gonna segue more into the characters and specific teams that work for me, but I also wanted to showcase you guys my starting arena team now that seem to be getting quite a bit of success overall, and it's actually pushed me into this top 1,000 rank. So what's nice about this is I'm up against folks that actually also started off the account when I started, so it's nice to be comparable, and you can kind of see where it's at. Even hitting go, you can kind of see the different team synergies that you're up against, right? So overall, I haven't seen any overpowered teams. Maybe the oddballs here and there, you can tell, like Silver Surfer, Mighty Thor. Potentially, people likely would have paid to get those characters to get it this early in the game, but that's not what I'm about here. I'm about finding value and getting the right team synergies. But you can see here, my total team power is 13,723, so a big jump from the last video. But as well, this is kind of actually who I have in my defense right now. I got Spider-Man OG with Thor synergizing with Hawkeye and Hulk. Really them being part of that Avengers meta. Aside from Spider-Man, unfortunately not being included in that mix, but we also have Ravager Stitcher, which I was able to unlock actually thanks to this generous calendar that we have going on here. So, at the time of recording, you guys, if you're watching this later on, you might have some different daily calendars, but right now at this time, you can see here we have this welcoming that's going to give us Captain America as well. So he's really going to round out the rest of the wave 1 that we have, which is huge. We naturally get Hulk through the daily achievements and the shards, as you can see with each day here. And then this is where actually the Ravagers came from. So it was kind of nice for this month of August. They actually allowed this opportunity for us to unlock them. And Stitcher is really good at healing, so that's why I really like that. But Vision of Tomorrow, again, you won't likely see this because this is a limited time event. Attorney at Law calendar. This is probably just because of the She-Hulk premiere. And then Premium Origin, you should be getting this one routinely. So this is going to help you unlock more characters. But just to give you that sense of what has been unlocked. Now, guys, let's dive into some of the better characters I've noticed, especially starting off. And I think when you're starting out in the game, it's important to keep these teams in mind, because there's a couple of characters especially where we can really honestly invest fully in, just because we know they're used in the end game, and we know that from start to finish, they're going to be providing value now, they're going to be providing value in the mid game, and they're going to be giving us value back at the very end of the game when it's used in the end game. So first and foremost, the key differences, I'm going to talk about characters I haven't really brushed on since the last video, just because there's a couple key pieces last time, like Spider-Man and Shield Medic, both really being that power dynamic duo there. But a couple of things have kind of changed since as I progress through the Heroes chapters. Unlocking Thor and Hulk were absolutely huge in my roster. The main reason is that Thor has so much power, and he's got a stun as well, but his God of Thunder passive, this is absolutely huge, guys. If you're not aware of his abilities, just know that if his fellow allies get attacked a certain number of times here and building up those charges, he's actually going to retaliate for some devastating damage. And that devastating damage is, you know, off turn, right? It can happen pretty much any instance once those charges are built up. And this is also going to apply to Asgardians and Wave 1 Avengers, which is why it's so pivotal to have a character like Thor and combining that with his fellow Wave 1 Avengers. So it goes without saying, guys, if you are able to get your hands on Thor, he's actually really huge in the beginning, especially the amount of damage he can do. He's also likely needed for a hero Asgardian Scourge event that's upcoming here with the War Scourge. So I mean, just some value there in the end game later on when we want to do a Lock Apocalypse. Unfortunately, if you want to farm him in the campaign, he is actually available deep in Heroes Chapter 7-3. But if you get the chance, if you didn't get him through the calendar, he is actually available in the raid store. So, you know, he can actually come into the raid store specifically, and you can actually purchase him directly here for each 5 shards. And that's another roundabout way you can unlock him. But I wouldn't prioritize unlocking him in the beginning. If you get him due to luck, I would take advantage. But if you don't, you don't have him in the beginning, in my honest opinion, the raid store should actually be used and focused on Baron Zemo. Because you're gonna find that at the beginning here, we just need strong villains, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of good villains available in the game, and Baron Zemo is one of them. Baron Zemo should be the #1 focus in the raid store. So just keep that in the back of your mind, guys. If you unlock Thor, he's a really good addition, but don't prioritize him because you're gonna have a lot of heroes that you can utilize in the Heroes chapters, and it doesn't need to be Thor. Now, because I unlocked Thor, it was almost a no-brainer to actually synergize him with the Wave 1. So Hawkeye, you know, and this is something I should have talked about in my previous video, but I didn't realize he only needs 15 shards to unlock. So this is absolutely huge, guys. You can acquire him in Heroes Chapter 1. I believe he's the very last known, 1-9. And the fact that he only costs 15 shards means you can probably farm him in a couple of days, and boom, you have another character that you can utilize. He's also shield traded, which means he can actually assist in the unlock on Iron Man as a legendary. And as well, what I really like about Hawkeye is that he's fast. He's got an ultimate ability here that actually has a chance to blind enemies. So I mean, combinating this with OG Spider-Man, them having some crowd control in the very beginning, this has been absolutely huge for me. That's also why they're part of my arena team, because they've been doing exceptionally well. So Hawkeye with OG Spider-Man and Thor, that 3 combination has been really powerful for myself. And then something else that was unlocked as well for the achievements, and every player is going to get this, so this is huge. I highly recommend. You know, I'll just go ahead and upgrade Hulk right now, just while I have you guys here on screen. Hulk is really devastating with his damage in the beginning. He's a solid tank. He even has a self-cleanse, as you can see here, but obviously it gets better over time as we get more materials upgrades. But Hulk is very strong, and he can retaliate for damage as he gets attacked, right? And best part is, guys, remember, he has a taunt, he gets attacked, Thor is going to get charges from him getting attacked, and then they just work really coherently together. So the combination of Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, they've been really strong for me. And then lastly, you can pair that up with potentially a healer or more damage, or potentially even a character like Luke Cage that still has that defense up and protection, right? Either way, it's up to you guys based on how your roster progresses, but personally I recommend a healer as the 5th, and that's a very strong team that's gotten me through the majority of heroes, but as well as going through now initially in the Nexus chapters. Now, let's switch gears here a little bit, guys. That's really discussing the Heroes Nexus aspect. What's been really notable and difficult has been the Villains chapters, because not because the Villains chapters themselves are hard, but just the lack of villains characters being available. And so that's kind of shifted my strategy a little bit too in the beginning, based on what I outlined versus what's actually happening in actuality. So if you guys are starting off, again, I should have brought this up, but Shocker, he's available through registering your account through Facebook, the emailing list, I believe, and then you actually just get him right away. So I actually highly recommend it, because Shocker does some really good damage. He has piercing damage as well that goes through defenses. So having someone that's a strong offense is going to be huge in your villains, especially when right off the bat, if you saw in my earlier video, we actually get Electra and Crossbones through 2 special niche events specifically for them when you actually start the game. So you're gonna have 2 villains at least right away, but you need other characters to combine and support, and Shocker's a good one. He has supportive capabilities. If you have other Sinister Six with him, he can actually provide offense up. And again, what I really like about his ability is his ultimate here, that it actually repeats and does piercing damage, and it can be very powerful, especially once you level him up. The best thing about Shocker is that he's actually used as part of an unlock for 2 legendaries in being both Shuri and Invisible Woman. So definitely don't hesitate to upgrade him. He does not have endgame value, so definitely follow my guide, guys. I have my link, the link in the description below, just showing you how far you can level him up. But I believe you can bring it up to level 55, tier 9, I believe, tier 9 or tier 10. Something along those lines where you can get good value for him, because that's all you really need to get to the end of unlocking those legendaries at that point. And then with that logic in mind, already starting on the Sinister Six, I was also thinking, you know, how can I pair up Shocker? You know, is there another character I can unlock very easily at the beginning of the game? And yes, there is. Rhino, another you know, hidden gem in the game, in the Blitz store, and unlocked actually also at 15 shards. So that's why you see him in there with the 1 star. But having that 15 shards is such a huge advantage, because you get access to a character early in the game where you can start already building them up and you can use them. And the best part is that Rhino and Shocker have synergy with each other, being that Sinister Six team, and being able to actually unlock Shuri and Invisible Woman later on. You're gonna find a lot of value early on for sure. So those 2 I've been using with Crossbones and Electra. And Electra's kind of fallen off because I've actually kind of segued more to the Ravagers that I have access to now, right? So Ravager Stitcher, again, a really good healer minion in the game if you can get your hands on him, but unfortunately, you can only find him later on through farming. I believe, yeah, like it looks like the raid store here specifically. So I got lucky with the calendar. Maybe they just keep it as something that's permanent for beginners. I'm not sure, guys. But yeah, if you don't have a healer in Stitcher, I would highly just recommend and honestly bringing up other villains that you can get access to. But unfortunately, villains is basically the pain point right now for me going through it, especially when it's limited. The highlight really is being able to unlock Baron Zemo for a villain. He's going to be a really pivotal piece, especially later on in the villains and the Doom chapters. Having his high proficient damage, and just the fact that he can disable too. So yeah, that in essence is overview, guys. Those are the characters that have kind of changed since my progression from level 20 to 32, but definitely now characters and teams I'm working on towards as I progress to that mid-game section where we do see a lot more upgrades being made, so forth. But so far I think this is a really good team synergy, and once I unlock Captain America naturally through the calendars, we're gonna pretty much complete our wave 1. That's gonna be in a great spot for us. So I'll keep you guys posted and up to date, but so far that's how everything's looking right now. I hope this video was able to help you guys in terms of your progression. But as you can see, the next update, likely we can get a better rundown, maybe potentially into how my raids are doing specifically, and as well as the war, which would open up in another 13 levels. So hope you guys enjoyed this quick and brief video. Thank you as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.